Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mike and Jujus Movie Corner, the show where we talk about movies that maybe you forgot about, maybe you never even saw, or maybe you saw just recently and can't get out of your head. As always, I'm your boy and your host, Mike.
And I'm your co-host, Juju. What's good, people? We're back for another week of movie talk that nobody asked for, but everybody needs.
That's right. And this week, we're diving into a weird one, y'all, from 1990. Joe vs. Volcano, starring the one and only Tom Hanks and the beautiful Meg Ryan.
Or should we say Meg Ryan's, plural.
Right.
Because she plays 3 different characters in this movie.
But that was a spoiler alert. We ain't even gotten to that yet.
My bad. But real talk, this movie is so strange that I don't even know if you can spoil it.
I mean, fair point. Alright, y'all, before we jump in, let's remind everybody to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review if you're enjoying the show, guys.
Yeah, and don't forget to check out our other shows.
But today, we're talking about Joe vs. Volcano, a movie that bombed at the box office, but it's really become something of a cult classic over these years.
Let's get into it.
Alright, so, Joe vs. Volcano. This was the first of 3 movies that paired Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan together, y'all.
Yeah, before Sleepless in Seattle and You Forgot Mail. They did this weird-ass fairy tale movie that nobody knew what to do with.
Exactly. It was directed by John Patrick Shanley, who wrote Moonstruck, and, let me say, won an Oscar for it. Now, this was his directorial debut, though.
And it shows, bro. This movie is all over the place.
Yeah, it kind of in a good way, though, I'd say. Let's give people the basic plot, though. So you've got Tom Hanks, who plays Joe Banks. Now, he's this guy who works in a horrible factory with these fluorescent lights that are literally unaliving him.
The opening of this movie is so depressing, man. That factory looks like hell on earth, all gray and dingy with that brain cloud over everyone.
Hey, that's right. Joe gets diagnosed with a brain cloud by this shady-ass doctor played by Robert Stack.
Which is not a real medical condition, by the way.
No, it's definitely not, Juju. Alright, so Joe finds out he's dying. And then this weird, super rich industrialist guy, played by Lloyd Bridges.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. He offers Joe a deal. To live like a king for a couple weeks, and then he has to jump into a volcano on this remote island to appease the natives so the rich guy can keep mining rights for the minerals that they have on the island.
Which is objectively the weirdest job offered of all time.
Right? And Joe's just like, sure, why not? I'm dying anyway.
And then we get this weird adventure where Joe learns how to live while preparing to die. It's kind of beautiful in a messed up way.
Yeah, and that's what really makes this movie so interesting. It's got this bizarre premise, but it's actually dealing with some pretty deep stuff about what it means to live a meaningful life. Now, this movie is essentially about waking up and realizing you've been wasting your whole life, y'all.
Deep stuff from a movie where a dude jumps into a volcano.
Alright, let's talk about Tom Hanks in this movie, Juju. Now, this is right before he really became Tom Hanks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this was still goofy comedy era for Tom Hanks. He had done Big and Turner and Hooch, but he hadn't done Philadelphia or Forrest Gump yet.
Right. And I think that's why this movie is so interesting. Like, you can see him starting to flex his dramatic muscles a little bit.
For sure. There's a scene where he's standing on a yacht in the moonlight. That's just pure cinema, bro.
Right? Like, I'm alive. Like, that scene gets me every time. And the way he delivers that speech about his life being this series of humiliations, like, man, you can really see why this dude's got 2 Oscars.
And he's funny too. The physical comedy when he's shopping for his adventure gear is
Right.
classic Hanks.
Yeah, and you got the luggage salesman. Do you know about luggage? Now, this is the best luggage in the world. And they just keep getting bigger and bigger.
May it never fail you. That scene kills me every time.
And the thing about Hanks in this movie, guys, is that he makes you believe this ridiculous premise. Like, you actually buy that this guy would agree to jump into a volcano.
Because plays that desperation so well. When he's at that dead end job in the beginning, you can feel how much he hates his life.
Hey, and then that transformation when he starts really living, like it's not acting, it's good acting, you know?
No doubt. People forget how good Hanks is because he makes it look easy.
Yeah, and let's now talk about Meg Ryan playing 3 different characters in this film.
This was some Eddie Murphy stuff before Eddie Murphy was even doing it.
Right? So she plays Dee Dee, who works with Joe at the factory. Then she plays Angelica, who's the rich guy's daughter.
And then there's Patricia, who's Angelica's half-sister and the yacht captain who takes Joe to the island.
Yeah. And they're all completely different characters, y'all. Like, different hair, different personalities. Like,
Different accents even.
Yeah, right?
Angelica has that weird affected rich girl thing going on for her.
Daddy, he says, I'm supposed to take you shopping.
That's pretty good. But Patricia is the real MVP.
Right.
She's like this tough sailor chick who's not having any of Joe's nonsense.
And of course, because it's a romantic comedy at heart, y'all, you already know they fall in love.
On a yacht in the middle of the Pacific while sailing to an island where he's planning to kill himself. Just your typical love story.
Right, exactly. But hey, let's give Meg Ryan props here. Now, she's basically carrying 3 roles in this movie. And she does a good job of making each one distinct.
For sure. People always talk about her from When Harry Met Sally, but she's doing some real work in this one.
Now, what did you think about the theory that all 3 women are actually the same woman? Like, just represent different phases or aspects of femininity that Joe encounters on his journey.
Whoa, getting deep on me, Mike. But yeah, I can see that. Dee Dee is like that everyday woman he's too afraid to pursue. Angelica is like this unattainable fantasy woman. And Patricia is the real deal, the partner who will literally go into a volcano with you.
Right? Yeah, that's how I see it too. This movie is smarter than people give it credit for. Alright, we've got to give some love to the supporting cast, Juju. There are some real characters in this.
Oh man. Starting with Joe's boss at the factory, Mr. Wattori,
Right.
played by Dan Hedaya.
I know he can get the job, but can he do the job?
That's spot on.
Right.
And he keeps repeating it over and over again.
Right. And then you got the Ossie Davis, who plays the limo driver, who basically becomes a life coach for Joe.
You have some life left, live it well. That dude has so much wisdom in just a few minutes of screen time.
Right. Big time. Then there's Nathan Lane as that luggage salesman who's just going all out in this small role.
And don't forget Ed Vigoda as the chief of Wapanis.
Yeah, the Wapanis are this fictional tribe, everybody, that's supposedly a mix of Polynesian, Romanian, and Jewish culture.
Yeah, that part of the movie definitely wouldn't fly today. They're drinking orange soda as part of their religious ceremony.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, but in that late 80s, early 90s way, where movies could just make up fictional stuff instead of doing research.
And let's not forget Lord Bridges as the industrialist Samuel Graynamore. The man was chewing scenery like it was his last meal.
I'm not interested in the past, Joe Banks. I'm interested in the future.
Nailed it. The casting director for this movie deserves a raise. For real.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where even the smallest roles are real memorable. Alright, let's talk about how this movie looks. Because visually, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it starts out with this drab, almost monochromatic look at the factory. And then it gets more and more colorful as Joe wakes up to life.
Yeah, exactly. And by the time they get to the island, like, everything is just super vibrant and almost dreamlike.
That scene where they're on the raft looking up at the moon is straight up gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a good scene. Stephen Goldblatt was the cinematographer, and like he really created this visual journey that mirrors Joe's emotional journey.
In those big practical sets, the factory looks like a nightmare, and then that volcano at the end is impressive even by today's standards.
Right. And there's something really charming about those clearly constructed sets. Like, you know it's not real, but it adds to the fairy tale quality of the story.
And the wardrobe. Joe starts out in these sad, baggy suits, and then gets some those ridiculous tropical outfits when he's living life like a king.
Yeah. And you got that shopping montage, and then he ends up in that tuxedo on the yacht. I mean, that was like a complete transformation.
It's a visually striking movie, which I think is part of why it's developed this cult following. It just looks different from other romantic comedies of that era.
Yeah, for sure, Juju. And the way they use color throughout, like, it's intentional, y'all. It's not just pretty for the sake of being pretty, you know?
Unlike me, I'm pretty just for the sake of being pretty.
Whatever helps Juju sleep at night, y'all. Alright, so, what do you think about this movie? Is really, like, about, Juju?
To me, it's about waking up to your life before it's too late. Joe thinks he's dying, so he finally starts living.
Yeah. And there's that whole theme of taking a leap of faith. Like, literally in this case.
Right. Into a volcano. But it's also about finding someone who will jump into a volcano with you, you know?
Yeah, that's the romantic part of it. Finding someone who will face the unknown with you.
And there's definitely some criticism of American corporate culture in there. That factory scene at the beginning is brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as a young person watching it makes you not want to work in that, you know, like, I'm going to find some other way to do shit. And it shows how modern work can really drain the fucking life out of you guys. Like, total brain cloud. It might not be a real diagnosis, but burnout definitely is.
It is.
Nobody knows anything, Joe. That's what the limo driver tells him. And it really kind of sums up the whole philosophical angle of the movie, you know?
We're just making it up as we go along, trying to find some meaning in the chaos.
Right? Now who's getting deep, Juju?
I could tame that multitudes, man.
Alright, this movie was considered a flop when it came out, Juju. It did make $39 million, but on a $25 million budget. And that's not great.
Yeah, critics were mixed on it too. Some people just didn't get what it was trying to do.
Yeah, and over the years, however, it's developed a cult following. Like, people who love it, they really love this one, y'all.
It's definitely a your mileage may vary kind of movie. If you're not on board with the fairy tale vibe and the weird humor, it's probably not going to be working for you.
Right? But if you connect with the existential journey that Joe goes on, like, this can be a really meaningful movie.
And it's interesting to look at it as a first Hanks-Ryan collaboration.
Right?
They obviously had good chemistry because they went on to do 2 more movies together.
Yeah, Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail, which were both directed by Nora Ephron and were much more straightforward romantic comedies.
And much more successful. But honestly, I think Joe versus the Volcano is more interesting than either of those movies.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's a little messier, but it's trying to do something different, you know?
It's a movie that takes big swings, and even when it misses, you gotta respect the attempt.
For sure. And I think it's influenced other filmmakers who blend genres and tones in unexpected ways.
Yeah. You can see bits of it in Wes Anderson's movies, or even something like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Films that create their own little worlds with their own logic.
Yeah. So where does Joe vs. Volcano rank in the Tom Hanks filmography for you, Juju?
Not at the top, but definitely in that interesting middle tier. It's no Forrest Gump or Saving Private Ryan, but it's way more interesting than, like, The Birds.
The Birds was good, man.
Okay, fair. But what about you?
Alright, Juju. So I think it's an important transitional film for Hanks. Like, the timing, you can see him starting to move forward with straight comedy and turning it into something of a lot more depth, you know?
That's a good point. It's like the bridge between big Tom Hanks and Philadelphia Tom Hanks.
Exactly. And that's what makes this one worth revisiting, y'all. Alright, time for ratings. On the Patton, Mike and Juju scale of 1 to 10 in volcanic sacrifices. What are you giving Joe versus the Volcano, Juju?
I'm going with a solid 7.5 volcanic sacrifices. It's messy but charming, weird but heartfelt, not perfect but definitely memorable.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little higher with 8. I think it's really aged well. It's the kind of movie that you really like to watch. It's got layers. It reveals new stuff every time you watch it. Like, it's a really good movie.
That's fair. It's definitely worth watching it if you've never seen it, especially if you're a Tom Hanks fan.
Absolutely. And even the story doesn't work. Even if the story doesn't work for you, the visuals alone make this worth checking out, y'all.
So, where can people watch it these days?
Well, it's available to rent on streaming platforms like Apple TV, Amazon Prime, and Google Play. But unfortunately, it's not included in any free subscription services at this time.
I guess it's worth the rental fee, though, in my opinion.
For sure. And if you're a physical media person, the Blu-ray has some decent special features, guys.
Alright, so that's Joe versus the Volcano from 1990, directed by John Patrick Shanley and starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan 3 times.
Alright, thanks for watching and tuning in to another episode of Mike and Juju's Movie Corner, only on Mike and Juju's Smoke Room. Next week, we are... every time.
No, bro. They have to wait to find out. But make sure to hit that subscribe so you don't miss it.
And leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of Joe vs. Volcano. And if there's anything out there you want us to cover, just hit us up.
Until next time, remember what the limo driver said. Nobody knows anything, Joe.
And as always, keep watching the weird ones, y'all. I'm your boy and your host, Mike.
I'm your co-host, Juju.
And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace out.